Welcome to the Absolute BS podcast. I'm your host, William McCarthy, and today I have a very special guest, one of my good friends, Ashley Danjou. Did I get it right this time?
Yeah, you did it right.
Ashley and I have been friends for a long time, and she has this special ability to, whenever I'm in a crappy mood or whatever, it's just instantaneous. My phone goes off, and it's like a funny meme. So she's super funny. She has an awesome story, and I can't wait to do this. So Ashley, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So you ready for your first question?
No. Yeah, I'm ready. We're just gonna like a Band-Aid.
Yep, bam, rip it off. All right. So the first question is, what 80s or 90s movie can you watch on repeat?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, I'm gonna say The Goonies.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's such a classic. It was like my first real action mystery movie.
Yeah.
It had a big impact on me. So that'd be mine. What's yours?
For me, I was gonna go there, Breakfast Club.
Okay.
I can recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny too because when I was a kid, I remember watching Goonies, and that sloth or whatever his name was used to scare the crap out of me. So I'd have to hit the fast forward button on the VCR or whatever. So yeah, that's mine.
My mom used to tease me and say that's what I looked like. So it became like a running joke thing, and it just stayed as one of my favorite movies. But there's so many good ones, honestly. Besides the quality of the video, the movies back then, they're just so much better. Like The Crow, Raft, there's just so many.
Yeah. It's something about taking away from when they start doing the CGI, once they started doing that, it's more about what they can do with CGI more than actually good movies, in my opinion.
Some of it's ridiculous. I don't know if you've seen the new Fast and Furious.
No, I've stopped after the end.
You're all excited. I'm like, yeah, this is so cool. They came out with a millionth one, and then they have a limo jumping for a street that's falling apart, and then the thing lands like this. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's a lie.
Yeah, nowadays it's just oh my god. I thought they'd make it to space by now, with Fast and Furious. That's probably the next one.
You know what they really did. They're actually took a car to and then started freezing out there, and I literally was sitting in the movie theater this is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious versus Aliens, no more.
Nice. Tell me one of your. So this one's gonna be. I'm excited for this answer because you have a lot of awkward moments, and you love talking about them. So I want to know what I want to know what your favorite awkward moment is.
Oh my gosh, to pick one, I'm gonna have to go with my first time working at the family practice. I had always done clinical, so for me to take on the office persona was so new to me. I'm witty, and sometimes, I say things, and then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So I'm hard to be professional. I had a blazer thing on, and this company comes in to redo our whole waiting room, and I look at them dead in the eyes, and I'm like, hi, how are you? Super professional. And then I was like, go ahead and take a sheet. What? And I said it in such a weird Swedish accent, and it was too late to backtrack, so I didn't know what to do, so I followed through with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and grab you a sheet real quick and just
oh my god, instead of seat. And then my boss came up, and she's like, how's things going? I'm beet red, and I'm like, great, I'm good. Yeah, so that was probably my favorite moment, because I was trying so hard to not be that awkward Ashley. But the more I get older, I realize the more I resist it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
I just have to.
My favorite is when we first hung out, and we had a good time, and then we're like, all right, I'll see you later. It was awesome hanging out. And then we hit every red light, and we're just like, what's up? What's going on?
Oh my god, that was literally so funny. It's like when you walk out of a store, only amplified because it's 18 times. The longest road.
I think the first red light, you were like, I'm not following you, just want to let you know. And the next one's just like, oh, what's up?
Yeah, well, at that point, I'm like, this guy is going to think that I'm literally tailing him. And we've been friends and talking for so long. So to actually meet you in person, it was so fun. And, it was very comfortable because I had talked to you before. But I was like, I don't want him to think I'm weird. I don't want him to think I'm a creep. even though you already knew I was weird. Every single one. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite like hour awkward moments.
Yeah.
Or with my when I had my tooth that had fallen out, terrible, awful. Yeah, putting that on your show. You're welcome. And I like went through, I didn't know what to do to like explain to you what happened. So I went through like the different ways I could hide it. That was all. I thought about that for like a month. I was like, what the hell, Ashley?
All right, third question is, what piece of advice could you give moms out there?
Ooh, you know, I have to pick one. I think the best thing is to just not let the life of being a mom lose yourself. I think it's so important to kind of find that child in yourself and things that either maybe you didn't get as a child or things that you really wanted to do. When we become adults, it's so easy for us to just kind of dismiss those things, to let those things go. And it makes all the difference. I mean, even with the pandemic and things going on, taking that weird spur of the moment and going to buy a pack of fake mustaches, it makes a difference for them. It makes a difference for me. And it kind of keeps me attached to who I am. I mean, as a mom, I feel like we all lose that, but yeah, that's my biggest advice is just like forever keep trying to find yourself. And when you get lost in it, find it again.
That's awesome. Because like when I see your photos with your kids and like, or the funny videos you guys do, it's
Thank you.
Beams through. It's super fun.
We have so much fun.
Yeah.
And some of it, maybe I should not, but I look at it when I do stuff with them, like I'm hoping that someday if I have grandkids, they do that with their grandkids. Or if I don't have grandkids, when their life, when adulthood hits them and it's hard, they can look back and be like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to go to the park today and I'm going to do this silly thing or make a joke about that. Mm-hmm. I think anyone who can learn to take a bad moment and make something weird out of it is, so I really try to hammer that in with my kids. And it works because they are so awkward and I love it. I picked them up in a Grinch mask Christmas week, like full face realistic Grinch mask, and they were not even phased. And that was a moment for me. I'm like, wow,
you gotta have those numbers. You gotta figure out.
Like, I don't know if I'm like sad that they didn't react or if I'm proud. Like,
yeah, that's my
mom there.
That's awesome. I wonder if it's gonna change when they get into high school. You think it'll be a little bit?
I think it will, and it's so funny to see. Like Jaden graduated 5th grade yesterday, so starting to get to like that. I'm older. I'm in middle school, and he'll start getting a little attitude and like pulling away. But he's gonna be the one that tries to do the whole like I'm too old for this. I'm too cool for this, and then he'll reverse back, kind of like I did in life. But Jordan is just gonna forever be my wild child. It's just who he is. Like I pull in up from school and he's yelling at me in Spanish. We don't speak Spanish. It's just so awesome to kind of see. He'll dance in the middle of Walmart, and so I think he might stay spunky. But I do think Jaden's a lot like me, so I think he'll have to. It'll be interesting to see how they are. I think I'm in a lot of trouble with the little one. Yeah. But already he's full of it. So
now, as brothers, are they like basically locked at the hip, or do they do like basically their own kind of thing?
Jordan really wants to be next to Jaden all the time.
Yeah.
Up to him a lot. And Jaden is a wonderful big brother. He's very much so, supportive, and he tries to be very patient, kind, and soft-spoken, and really put himself in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
But today it's his brother. So they do hit this moment where Jaden's like, I just need my me time. And I have to try to like pull away because they'll argue over air. And I'm like, all right, that's enough. Like the silliest things. He's like, you're getting more fan than I am. I'm like, what?
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So number 4 is, if you could sum up, this one might be a little hard, but I thought it'd be interesting to hear. If you could sum up your life to one sentence from start to beginning, what would your sentence be?
bully shit.
Nice. You did
Two words.
2 words.
2 words.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole Phoenix thing really resonates with me.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. Childhood. What was childhood like for you?
Oh my gosh. It was a lot of things. I had to grow up very fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a choice in that, just with the way things kind of went for me. However, I have a lot of really great memories. I was outside a lot. This is before Game Boys and all that stuff. So I got to enjoy just being a kid, being outside. And I've always been able to look at people through like a different view as young as I can remember. So just kind of watching my family interact and taking in, who they were as people. And then as I got older, understanding more of it, was really a big part, I think, that played in my childhood and the things I ended up liking and kind of falling into. Lots of like outside 4-wheeling, dirt biking on one end, and then inner city kid on another end. So I really kind of had I don't know if I said the best, but I kind of had both worlds. And I really value that now that I get older, because it gave me, quality of what I want in life, but also tough enough skin, to handle it. So childhood was formative.
Formative. Nice. And did you grow up in New Hampshire your whole life?
In Manchester, actually.
Oh, okay. Nice. And where did you end up going to high school?
I went to Memorial.
Oh, okay. Nice. Me too.
Doing the whole like Jewett Southside Memorial.
Yeah.
For school, and it was in the time that I was there, I hated it, but now I look back, there were so many great times that you just don't get that.
Yeah. Would you say you were pretty much because I was one of those kids that like I wasn't popular, but I would hang out with the jocks, or I'd hang out like during the lunchtime, I'd hang out with all the goth kids, and then that's how I was. Were you like that?
In elementary school, I was a super nerd. I had 2 friends, and nobody wanted to talk to me. I think because I talk so much, it just was, they're like, no. Middle school was really rough for me. I got bullied awfully, like followed home bullied. I mean, it was it was really bad. And finally something clicked in middle school, and I started sticking up for myself. I stopped trying to be what I thought everybody wanted me to be. I started just being myself, and instantly, I just kind of became that kid that was friends with everybody. I had friends that were in, dance hall, and I got into that scene, in the reggae scene. And I had friends that were heavy into rock, and I was going to Rockos and doing, mosh pits. And I had friends that were into sports, and I just kind of became the kid that could float to any group.
Yeah.
And I was, I kind of started sticking up for other people that were in the situation that I was. So lunchtime was always like bouncing around tables, honestly. Yeah. Or I'd be at the misfit table where like all the other kids that were like me were. I loved that. When I was growing up, I hated it. I always felt like, why don't I have, a clique or a big friend group? But then I really looked at it and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Looking back now that I'm older, I'm like, that I would kind of had that figured out, because like one day I'd sit with, I don't know, they like the smart kids, and then the next day I would just sit with like the goth kids, or whoever, it was really cool.
No, I did the same thing. I mean, I definitely towards more high school, I started being with like the cool kids.
Yeah.
Look, it's so silly how kids think it's cool to like not do well. Like I've been smart. Like, I don't know. I wish I could go back and just like slap myself a little, because I was a smart kid. I was good at things, and I was on my way to compete in states in arts, and I chose to skip school to go smoke behind, the building, and because I wanted to be a part of that, and I was just as cool.
Yeah. For me, the hardest time was waking up. Like my dad would try to wake me up in the morning, like literally try to pull me out of bed, like go to school. I'm like, no, it's way too early to be up right now.
Yeah. What's funny about that is I was the same way. However, I didn't want to be home because I really liked the wraps.
Yeah.
So good. So I would go to school just to get a wrap, and then I would leave, and we used to go and sit. There's tunnels behind Memorial that go like,
they're still there, are they?
no, I haven't been in
Yeah.
15 years, but yeah, the tunnels, we used to go there. And then one time we just literally took all of our papers and lit them on fire and tried to make torches, but we ran out of paper. Like, oh my god. So that's what I was doing instead of learning, and I had to work, oh my gosh, a million times harder. Junior year, and then senior year I got pregnant with Jaden, and I still had to, I mean, I graduated, but I'm amazed I did, because I was too busy trying to be, the cool kid.
So when did you have them while you were still a senior, or was it
like,
oh really? Awesome.
I did. Yeah, honestly, I found out that I was pregnant like mid senior year, and my family is very religious, and things were kind of in a corner to where they put it as like, if you get married, we'll help you. And I was 18, well, actually I was 17. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And I was married and had Jaden before I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't regret it. I think being a young mom is awesome. It's hard. And I would definitely suggest to anyone watching this,
a PSA real quick.
So you're older, because it is the hardest thing I've ever done. But now if it does happen, now that I'm older, I love it. I love that I'm around and that I can kind of understand some of the things that they're going through, because we don't have that much years, in between us. Yeah,
that's so true. So when you graduated, what did you do after that? Were you working full time, or?
So right after I had Jaden in May of 2011, and I graduated in June of 2011. So at first I kind of was just doing, I worked at Panera Bread, Pizza Hut, just little jobs here and there, trying to balance having a baby and paying my own bills. And it was interesting. Got my first apartment, all that fun stuff. And then I just decided from there that I had to kind of put what I wanted to do on the back burner, and I dove into healthcare. Healthcare is reliable. It's something that's always going to be around, and it's something that was needed. So I put myself into LNA school, did a super intensive program. So I got my LNA license in like 2 months. And then I just kind of stayed doing that for a really long time.
Yeah. You don't do that now anymore, though.
I'm thinking about going back to it.
Yeah.
I went for the office side for a while, and the office side's great. I do like it. It kind of gives me a chance to show a different side of myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they meet me, they find out quickly like I'm quirky, and I like bring light to things, and I'm the weirdo at works that like will bring flowers in or candies and just randomly. It's just who I am. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
Just show that like professional side and do meetings. I really enjoyed that. However, with Jaden going to middle school and Jordan going to be repeating first grade, I think it'll be easier for me to go back into LNA and do home care. Yeah. And right now is a perfect time. They're paying much better than when I was in LNA, and make my own schedule. And that way I'm getting those hours. It's something I'm confident in. I'm confident in my ability to be there for families and for people. And I think I'm good at that. So I want to try to do that, and then maybe see where the office life takes me when they get a little.
When things go back to normal a little bit more, because it still feels weird, like since COVID. I don't know. It just seems like.
It does. I forgot how old I was the other day.
Yeah. It seems like 2 years just flew by in my life. I'm like that I would just woke up and like, oh my God, like what happened? So
it's crazy. My cousin is 6 months younger than me, and she posted her birthday on Facebook or something, and I'm like, she's not that old.
Yeah.
It hit me. Like, hold on a minute. I'm that old.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Another thing to think about, like I was thinking about, is like there's gonna be a whole group of kids that, like, when you're like, oh, how was your prom? Oh, I couldn't go because of COVID, or your graduation. That's gonna be really weird, you know.
The virtual learning for a lot of the kids was so rough, and it'll be interesting to see how this affects things, going forward in their life. I think it could, and I like to look at the strawberry and things. So I think in a strawberry, it could actually really help them, and give them more skill with kind of navigating through online classes and having a skill that most of us didn't get to build as children. Like even Jaden, at first it was rocky, but now he can navigate through Google Classroom, and he can, and that's a skill I didn't have at 11 years old. So that might, actually really work out for some of these kids. But for some of them, I think, it definitely, like the people that miss their prom.
Yeah.
I know by choice. Actually, Jaden was born on prom night. Fun fact. But I think, for a lot of people, that's such a formative day.
Mm-hmm. So. Do you see a change from when you were growing up to your children? Like you mentioned, when I was the same way. We were always out. We didn't come home till like the street lights were on. We're hanging out with friends physically rather than playing video games.
Yeah.
Do you see any changes from like his personality because of?
Definitely.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And what, part of that, I have to take responsibility for. I think when we were younger, there was less media and less, like, there was still always bad people out there. There's always been bad people, but you didn't hear about it, see about it. It wasn't constant. This person gets kidnapped, this person, and now you hear that and see that all the time. So as a mother, I'm not letting my 11-year-old go take a bike ride to wherever he wants and come home when the lights come on. Right. Versus when I was 11, I could do that.
Yeah.
There's still the same amount of bad people out there.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't get past it.
In our face so much that it's just like, it's scary,
Yeah. I mean, I don't let it fully, we go outside a lot. So I try to do that, but it's a big difference than when I was little. So I think he's going to have a harder time with kind of forming independence as young as a lot of us did. And I see that even with some of his friends, and him is, they have a sense of independence, but so much of us had to be, 25 at 10. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they're going to have that, which I honestly don't think is a bad thing. I'm excited that he's going to get to be a kid, because you can't go back, and I didn't get to be, 10 at 10. So
yeah.
But definitely a big difference. Even socializing, like today we have a kid that lives, I think, like 4 houses down from where I live. Jaden just found out that he lives there. So he's like, please write my phone number on a page so I can give it to him. I'm like, you live 4 houses away. Go knock on the door.
Yeah.
And he won't. He will not. I've tried. I'm like, dude, I'll come with you. Like, we can go see if he can come out and play. I'll make snacks. You guys can ride on your bikes. I'll stay outside. And he's like, no, I'll just call him. I'm like, when we're knocking on strangers' doors. Like,
yeah. Hey, can that kid over there coming out? I don't know who he is, but yeah.
Yeah. So socially, I think it's a lot different.
You definitely, yeah. So you went to LNA school and you did that. That's where I think we kind of met, because Deidre introduced me. My sister was doing the same kind of thing, and she's like, you got to meet this girl. She's just like you. She's super funny and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. And then we started talking online, and the memes went. I was like, oh yeah, she's super funny. So
Deidre and I at work together. Oh my gosh. I won't get into it, but we had some fun, and I thoroughly look forward to each day that we could come in. And instantly she's like, you have to meet, she's like, it's like, she starts talking about like your family and this and that, and she's like, Ashley. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. Like, because her and I would just sit, and we would just, to the point where we had to like quiet down.
Yeah.
Because we're in the middle of work and we are cackling, and we had a good time. She was a wonderful teammate and just great worker. we're a really good team, and I love people that can be goofy with you at work but still do a great job, and they're really thorough and caring with the patients, because you usually don't find both of those qualities. You know, usually if someone's messing around or being silly, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I love that. So
yeah, it's awesome that you can like joke around, but like once the job really needs to be done, it's just like
it's done. Yeah.
And then you just go back to joking around, because then it like helps the time kind of fly by, because it's just like, rather than just sitting there and be like, oh, I hate my life.
And I think the nature of the work, you know, it can really be heavy. So being able to joke like that and have fun is so important, I think, because LNAs or nurses or anyone really in healthcare, they get burned out so fast, and rightfully so. I mean, it's anything in service is hard, but when you're connecting to people and you're losing people, and you're seeing things that you can't do anything about it, it's a really heavy job. So to have someone who can be silly with you and brighten your day like that, it's such a gift. It's such a great thing.
Now, when you first started, was it harder to kind of like, because it sounds like where I used to work is a little bit similar, but like you get connections, but would you say connected to the people and then they would pass away? Did you struggle with that at all?
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely you end up, I think, over time finding almost a beauty in it. And I know that sounds morbid.
Nadine speaks of it too. She says it too.
Yeah, I did some hospice work too, and it's hard. It never gets easier. I think if it gets easier, that for me would be a sign that I need to leave. Yes, you get used to seeing certain things, but I really put my heart and myself kind of on the line with the people that I take care of. And of course, you have people that you bond with a little closer. But I would never want to lose that. I think that quality is what makes me good at that job. To be able to sit and take in some of the stories you hear, or some of the people they literally become your family. You're with them in their most vulnerable time, and to be able to make light of that and be goofy and silly with them. Oh my gosh. I mean, I have families of people that I took care of that I'm still really good friends with today. Some of them actually have even reached out with everything going on with Jordan, and it's been amazing to see, 10 years ago, I took care of their mom. So just, it really lasts, and I think you can look at it as more than a job. You really do find the beauty in that, and, just they've had their life, and if you can give them that beautiful moment of peace and the love. I try to give everyone the love and the respect that I would want. And it turns out that eventually it grows on you. And it does have a high burnout rate, and you have to really learn how to I'm trying to find the right words, how to kind of separate yourself from that. But you take it home with you. I've pulled over and cried. I've gone in a janitor closet and bawled my eyes out, and then got caught like behind the towels.
I've lost weekends like in my brain trying to like figure out how to connect with people that didn't like me where I used to work. Like it was bad. It was just trying. It was awful.
I'm happy you're right about that. There's definitely been some people that you want so badly to like you, because you're like, I'm a good guy. Don't. I have had some people that have said some of the funniest, terrible things to me, no matter what I've done. And you just have to learn how to like, okay. But I think go back to it. I did need to take a break from it. I went to the ER for a while and did the ER tech thing, and I loved that. But I found out I have some weak spots. Serious spots. So, geriatrics, I think, is something I'm comfortable in. It's something I can emotionally handle. And I find a beauty in that. And there's people I've thought about, that I got when I got my license, I was connected to them. and I still think about them. I think that's what the job's about, really.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. Oh, you're gonna add it in?
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Randomly, what happened?
And then it wouldn't work. Hold on, I hope this doesn't make it red. Did I leave it on? Do I look more professional?
It looks good. Yeah. Does it hurt?
No, I mean, I just like dramatic.
Nice. So what's the age difference between your two sons?
So one is 7.
One
One is 7 and one is 11. So they're about 4 years.
Yeah.
Just the way fall.
When it came to pregnancy, was your first son harder or your second one?
They both were awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so cool to be pregnant. It was such a miracle to feel them grow, start moving, and I love that part. But I was so sick. I have PCOS, and I actually have like a horizontal uterus, so it makes me, when I get pregnant, it is
awful.
It's painful, and I get very, very sick. So I was on bed rest for Jordan, and with Jaden, I was so young. I wasn't on bed rest, but it was not a fun time.
Yeah. Did you get any weird cravings or anything? I always like to.
Powerade and Rice Krispie treats were a big thing when I was pregnant with Jordan, like together. Like I would fight and then drink. But with Jaden, I literally just ate like a growing man. Like, it was so serious. I mean, everything spicy that I could possibly eat. Taco Bell, to the point where I didn't touch Taco Bell for like 5 years because I ate so much. Like jalapenos, hot tamales, like Jaden, it was everything spicy and salty, and it was intense. Jordan, I couldn't eat much. Because I was sick. It was literally like toast, fruit, and Rice Krispie treats. I couldn't have whatever. I could taste blood.
Oh wow.
It was disgusting. Like even the little pepperonis, it just tasted like blood. So I thought he was a girl because I was like, so different, and no, he was not.
Yeah. Would you say you're totally done? No more kids?
No, actually, I got my tubes removed this year.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm done, and it took a little bit for me to kind of make that decision, because I love kids. I love being around kids. I love babies. They're so cute.
Yeah.
But for my own health, for the risk that it comes with the baby, because I only have like a 50% success rate in pregnancies. I just thought it was the best thing to do for me, for some health concerns that I have, and just in general. They're both getting older now to where I can start taking them to do things. It's easier for me to do things, and I love that. I want to be able to have that with them without starting over.
Yeah.
And imagine bringing in a brand new baby. First of all, but I could imagine bringing one in with the prices. I mean, it was hard in general as a mom to take care of 2 kids. Never mind now, I don't know how these families are doing it. It's crazy. I don't want to go back into the diapers and the formula and the daycare, and I just got out of that. So
yeah,
I think I'm good. Now. Well, I have no choice.
Yeah. Would you be comfortable talking a little bit about Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want when did you first find out what happened?
I don't feel like you have to censor yourself, because
okay. I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I didn't know exactly how. Yeah.
I've gone a long way with it.
Okay.
It was hard a few months ago, but
cool.
Good. So I found out in August of 2020, but I knew something was wrong beforehand. It was like 2.5 months of, he had strep. That's what happened. He had strep throat. Went to the doctors. urgent care, not the doctors, and got antibiotics, the typical. And at the time, the pandemic just started. So the pediatrician actually didn't want to see us in office because COVID symptoms. So he did the antibiotics, nothing got better. He had fevers, he was still sick, called the pediatrician again, they ignored us again. Went back to urgent care, got re-swabbed, he still had strep. So at this point, we're going on a couple of weeks of pretty strong antibiotics, high fevers, something's up, but nothing concerning at that point. And it just kind of, sadly, it progressed from there. He ended up having bilateral eye swelling that came out of nowhere. Again, I called the pediatrician's office. They wouldn't see us. They said it must be a bug bite. I said, no, this is not a bug bite.
Yeah.
Ended up sleeping all day long. And at the time, he was only 5. So 5-year-olds do not sleep like that. He stopped eating a lot. He started getting a gray coloring to him. And it just kept getting worse. These fevers, sleeping all day, the eyes randomly swelling like that. And then one day he woke up and he couldn't walk. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And he was complaining, my leg. He's a boy. We play. And even though he was sick, he still played. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe he got hurt. I called the pediatrician again. They still would not see us, all because of COVID.
So when did mama bear instincts come in and
oh, they were beyond, even it was something that was beyond mom. I can't even put it into words. I actually had this feeling in my gut, something was heavy. It felt heavy in my house. I know that sounds crazy, but I felt a weight. And I actually, how I was really into a lot of the skulls and all black. I'm still really into that. Okay. Still love it. But it was so heavy that I literally went in my room with a box and I threw everything out. I threw my crystals out. I threw all my skull stuff out. I'm like, what do I need to do to get this lighter? What's going on? I added a fish tank in my room. I brought white and light and eucalyptus and roses, and I was doing everything externally that I could to try to change what I was feeling inside. And this is right before he started getting sick. And I told my neighbor about it. She's like, what is going on with you? And I was like, I don't know. I started checking on friends. So, I have a feeling something's up. Are you okay? Is something going on with your life? And everybody was okay. But I never thought, that it was me. I think I was feeling, internally, his body making that change, which is crazy. That's the only thing. And it just kind of further went on. And now I'm getting mad at the doctors. I'm like, you have not video called him. You've not seen him. It's been a month and a half. He's had 103-degree fevers, bilateral eye swelling. Now his leg, he can't walk on it. He's skinny, he's gray, something's wrong. And I actually thought that he had Lyme disease because we are out so much. It's so possible for him to get a tick bite and me not know. And I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, maybe the doctors know what they're doing, maybe not, maybe I'll leave it, and finally I'm calling them every day. And I'm like, I need an x-ray done now. They do an x-ray, his x-ray comes back negative. They brush it off as a sprain and he keeps getting worse. And I felt like I was watching the light drain out of him. And to the point where I was sleeping with him all day because I just didn't know what to do. And something just internally was like, okay, no, this is it. I called them again and again and again and demanded blood work. And they kept shrugging it off like, well, we don't really do blood work unless it's an emergency or something. I'm like, no, I'm the parent. You need to do this. And they didn't listen. So I packed up my stuff and I took them down to the Elliott ER. And I was super mega mama bear.
Everybody need to leave because I'm gonna burn this place down.
And the worst part is they literally did nothing. They did not ignore me. They did not deserve any of the rage that came, but it did. And I wasn't rude, but I was very direct. I walked in and was like, I'm not leaving here until somebody does blood work on this child. I have been turned away for months. I'm watching him die. And they did blood work, and his blood counts were so low that they had to rush us in an ambulance to Boston.
Wow.
While we're at the ER there, I said, well, what could cause that? You know, I'm thinking crazy things. I'm thinking parasites in water. Like, I don't know. It didn't even occur to me that cancer was an option, you know, and I'm thinking everything but. And then they said, you know, well, we can't give you a diagnosis, but could be something in his blood. You know, it could be leukemia. It could be. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, what? Longest ambulance ride I've ever had in my life. And the people that were in the ambulance were so like, they were just doing their job. But in that moment when you're hyper, you know, mama bear,
yeah,
nobody could have done anything right. They did nothing wrong, but it was just, they were so nonchalant. And I was like,
yeah, like, you just dropped the big C word on me. Like, what?
Might be cancer. And y'all are just like, oh, just put a Band-Aid on.
Yeah, right. Like, first we're not gonna see him, and then now it's just like, oh, holy crap.
Yeah. So we got to Boston Children's Hospital, and they took over, and that hospital deserves, oh my gosh, so much. They, within 20 minutes, had more answers for me than anyone had in months. And they said, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They brought him a stuffed animal. They were really on top of just trying to make him comfortable, make me comfortable. And then being in healthcare, the bad thing about that is you understand things that other people don't. And I wish that I didn't. Because I'm holding my composure, because if I'm freaking out, my child's freaking out. And I know that is like that just in general, in a healthcare sense, you need to stay calm. So the person that you're taking care of can also stay calm. So that was the biggest like internal fight for me, was to stay calm and not freak out. And I had a lady come around the corner and she said, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm the oncologist. I need to speak with you. And my heart just dropped. I mean, they don't come to say hi, So luckily my mom had flown meaning drive fast.
Yeah.
Not a plane, but came down to Boston. So she was able to sit with him while I went and spoke with her. And she sat down. She said, I just want you to know that if you didn't follow your gut, you would have lost him in a month, because his blood numbers were so low that it would have shut down all of his organs. And I was watching him shut down. And they said, we have to do more testing in the morning and get a bone marrow sample. But we think this is leukemia. So I kind of let myself collapse for a few. But it really didn't fully hit me in that moment. It hit me enough that, it was hard. But that wasn't my moment of like, it was still on autopilot, adrenaline, and we ended up staying the night, and test followed the next day. And we, it was confirmed on August 4th. So, and we stayed in the hospital.
Was, when you had the official diagnosis, was it harder to hear, or was it kind of like a sigh of relief of knowing that, like, hey, at least it's something, rather than being like, I don't freaking know? Like,
it was a mix of emotions. I think when it really hit me, we stayed the night in the hospital, and then we woke up early in the morning for him to go have a bone marrow sample done. And in the hospital, with the pandemic going on, they don't allow parents back when they put the children to sleep. So I had to let them kind of put him on a bed, and I could walk down the hall, but then I had to say my goodbyes, and he had to go get put to sleep without me. And I think that's when it hit me. And luckily my mom was there, and another nurse was there, because I turned around and I just fell. Completely fell, literally, actually, on the ground.
yeah.
And it was a million things. It was, I'm grateful that we're here, because Boston Children's is amazing. It was, how bad is this? Cancer, especially with children's cancer and leukemia, can be acute and treatable, or it can be it is so much range there. And then it kind of spiraled into, did I cause this? What did I do as a mom? which is a weird thought to have. But it was instantly like, did I give him to McDonald's? Like, was it and smoke? Like, what did I do? So accepting that took a while, but the hardest part was actually saying it out loud. It wasn't accepting that it was there. Because I was able to kind of get through the first couple of days in the hospital and just tell very close family. It was kind of, okay, this is my life now. This is our life. This is the fight we have. And how do I want to go about this? You know, I can't be crying. I can't be in pieces because I didn't want him to know, you know, that cancer can be deadly. I didn't want him to know. He's too young for that. He still doesn't know. 2 years in, he has no idea. Yeah. He just thinks it's germs that were in his blood and we have to take medicine to get rid of them. And it just making that switch was probably the hardest acceptance, but at least I had an answer and he was alive. But it was not the answer I wanted. It was hard to believe. It took me months to actually fully grasp that this is real. But we're there. We're almost done.
Yeah. And the process of how everything went with you, like, so when he woke up from there, how long were you able to at least hang out with him after that? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
After, so I got to see him like wake up from anesthesia. He was in a lot of pain. They go in and take samples out of the hip bones, and then they also do like spinal fluid. So that was awful, you know, and he was only 5. So seeing that was terrible. But we made it through, and he ended up getting a PICC line put in for a while, and we stayed in the hospital for almost 22 days, which is actually a really short stay for a new diagnosis. And we were so fortunate. There are families that I met there that were there for 6 months straight. And I was just really lucky that he was able to intake the water. I ended up turning everything into a game because that's just what I thought would be best.
Yeah.
I had somebody buy me a giant pair of granny panties. I'm not kidding. Because at the time, his favorite thing was Captain Underpants. So I would put this big giant pair of granny panties over my jeans and tie like a shirt and run around alone. Nice. So it was also mid-COVID, so we couldn't leave the room. We couldn't, there was a lot of things we couldn't do. And I was like, all right, what can we do to make this fun? You know, I made medicine into a race. And I think doing that helped me. I did it to help him, but it helped me. It really helped me. We had a lot of fun there, as much as it was a gloomy time. We had an amazing amount of support, friends, family, just reaching out, sending things, you know, cards and drawings. And, you know, I had family taking care of Jaden, and I ended up buying and sending him a cell phone so I could communicate with him. And it, for the situation we were in, we were very fortunate for the way it went.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw the Facebook post, my heart sank, and I'm like, what do I do? You know, I'm like, I don't want to come off as like superficial, like thoughts and prayers, you know, you got like so much on your plate right now, but like the amount of strength I saw from like beginning to end, like you always had a smile on your face. He was like always doing something fun. It seemed like in the photo.
Yeah.
It was just like,
yeah, he definitely had some moments that were not, but I kind of made a vow to myself when all this started, and that is why, like, I don't have a Jordan Strong page. I don't have, you know, a TikTok that goes through his journey. And a lot of people have suggested that I made one, but for me, the internet's forever. And I am an adult and I have no choice but to remember everything that went on. But he's young and he has a choice to either want to ask questions about it, want to talk to me about, you know, what went on and what were some of the harder things, or he cannot. So I've only taken pictures of the good days, of the smiles, of the happy things, because when he looks back on this as an adult, that's what I want him to remember. I don't want him to remember having to get put to sleep for lumbar punctures once every 9 weeks for 2 years, or any of those things. And because I've kind of chosen to do that, I think it'll make it easier for him as he gets older, to look at it, maybe even help other kids or other parents. I've seen TikToks just scrolling of, other kids going through the fight and their parents are videotaping, these hard moments. And I don't think that's wrong, because I think everybody handles things
different
in their own way. So that's great for them. But even for me, I don't want video proof of those things.
Yeah.
Most of the time has been really great. He is a resilient, funny, goofy kid. So even though we've had some really difficult times, he has been just amazing. I gave him the option when his hair started falling out to cut it. Mm-hmm. I told him I'd cut mine with him, and we could do head tattoos. Yeah. How cool I would look with a head tattoo. But he literally looked at me, he's like, no, you would look so weird, Mom. Yeah. So there's a stage where it was like almost all out. He just had 2 little pieces that were right here, and it was like a little jellyfish. And we had so much fun with the things that were hard. I've had my fair share of moments but I try to keep those kind of to myself. He hasn't really seen me cry, or really, he's seen me tear a few times throughout this, but he hasn't seen much of that part of things. It's been very fun.
Were you able to build strong connections with other mothers that were going through that, or?
A couple of them.
Yeah. Do you guys still keep in contact today?
Yeah, I have a couple of them that I talk to, and they're wonderful. Honestly, by nature, when I'm going through something rough, I hermit. I hold it in. I deal with it myself. And I think a big part of that is because if I have to say these things out loud, if I have to face them, then I can't be that strong, Ashley. The bad thing about that is a lot of mothers don't do that. And that's good, because that means they didn't have as much trauma.
No trauma.
Probably not as funny, but that's great. But so I kind of kept myself away, I think, connecting to a lot of people. But there was a few things. I had one person, she was actually my nurse when I first worked as an LNA, and I was working under her when her son got diagnosed with cancer. And I remember I would just sit and cry and read her posts, and I think to myself, God, I don't know what I would ever do. I cannot imagine, and she was one of the first people that I kind of looked to, because she is a powerhouse. She is strong and positive, and she's for the cause, and she's a wonderful mother. She's all around really an inspiration. And her son actually had a much more difficult journey. So I'd find myself so many times throughout this kind of rethinking, saying, you know what, okay, this is how I choose to lead this journey. And then there's a couple that I, became friends with while we were there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, not as much as I guess I could have. That's just me as a person, though.
Yeah. And another reason why I kind of asked that too is because, like, hearing what happened, like, when you speak of her, it's like that's how I look at you, as being like a badass mom. It's like, it's like the strength and like just being super, super positive throughout the whole time. I know we've talked. I don't want to be like spoiler alert, but you're
fine.
Working on a possible book to help other moms go through this. I think that's fantastic. So, is it still in the works? Like, you're still?
Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I think for me, and it's probably the biggest thing, even you'll know from just talking to me as a friend, it is so hard for me to organize my thoughts. I am squirrels to apples. Like, I just cannot. Yeah. I've just been jotting down the things, and I want to go back and try to organize them. But I know the biggest thing that really like started this for me is I have a friend, and when Jordan first got diagnosed, I had a small moment of why me, you know, and it's such a selfish thing to have, but I think it's inevitable. And I think that people should know that's okay to have that moment. And, you know, it was a late night. We were in the hospital, hadn't slept in like 3 days. He finally was sleeping. And I was just sitting there and I was so internally confused on what I had ever done in life to get such bad cards. You know, I've been through a lot of things, and I was venting this to my friend, and he said to me, he said, Ashley, don't look at it like that. You need to look at it as this is the moment that all those bad things in life are preparing you to handle. It's not, this is another thing that happened to you. It's, this is why that happened to you. So you can lead this as a strong person, that you can handle this on your own and know how to navigate that. And that sentence has literally got me through all of this. Every time that I have a weak moment, I'm like, you know what? No, you're right. And it's amazing how something somebody could say can impact you and your journey that much. And how many other moms are out there, you know, that aren't reaching out, that are like me and haven't created this giant worldwide preview of their child's journey. And I think those are the moms I really want to target, because it's important. It's so important. And I hit a point, which is a weird point to hit, but when you find out that your child's life could possibly be in danger, and also the pandemic kind of had a little bit more play, so I don't think that will always be a factor for moms, but I'd like to include it. You have to kind of find a balance between being safe and taking precautions that you now need to do with your child, but also quality of life. And to have that thought run through your head about your 5-year-old is a weird thought, but I think it's the best growth that I've had ever, personally, and as a person beyond this journey that will, I think I'll take that with me forever, is I finally just hit me. Here we are, not going anywhere, not going to the store, not going absolutely anywhere, staying in the house, and I'm watching my son, you know, swell from steroids, and he's losing his hair, and he's sick, and you know, we're having all these side effects, and I'm like, hold on a minute. These kids could turn around like this. Some of these kids, they turn for the worst, and it's so fast. So any day he could have turned for, I mean, he still could relapse. And I would not feel that I did my job as a mom if I spent all this time protecting him from what would be and not giving him life. You know, they're kids, they don't understand. And I don't want him to understand, you know, that this could kill him. So for me, that was the moment that I was like, you know what, I need to document this. I need to get this out there for other people, because it changed my view on so much. We're still careful, you know, and when things were more sensitive, I would have to kind of look at his numbers and make a decision on whether it was smart. But there's so many ways around it that are easier, cheaper. And I think to share that with parents that are going through this could really benefit even for them, because you kind of get on autopilot. You know, you're doing all these meds at home, you're doing chemo, and then it wakes you up. It wakes you up. We actually that's when we took an impromptu trip to Connecticut. We just kind of took off. And I've never done that. I've never taken them anywhere further than Mass. And I just was like, that's it. I don't care about anything else right now. I'm dropping everything. I'm booking a hotel and we're going to Mystic, Connecticut. And we did. It was awesome. It was great, you know, and it was really cold. But those moments are kind of what I want to add to the book, and then just kind of add in some prompts that will allow the person, the reader, it doesn't have to be a mom. I mean, I've met dads going through this too. Kind of some prompts to allow them to process things in that quieter self way. Because not everybody wants to, you know, broadcast
Yeah.
when they're going through it. You know, now that I'm at the tail end, I've done a lot of self-work, and I feel a lot better about talking about it. I can look back on pictures now, and I feel very like I've kind of accepted certain things. And but had I not done that self-work, you can really get lost in that. So
Yeah.
it's just, it'll probably be a while, but
No, I think it's gonna be fantastic. I think it's it's gonna be hard, meaning like someone's gonna be going through a really hard time, but while they're reading your words, I think you're gonna come through the book, you know what I'm saying? And people are gonna relate to it and feel like I know the sense of strength that you have, it's gonna come right through the book. So I think it's gonna be fantastic.
I really hope so. There was a day that I was completely exhausted. We were going 3 times a week for 9 months to the Jimmy Fund, back and forth. And he was getting injections every single one. He had 90 injections plus 2 chemos each day for 9 months. And I was so defeated one day. And some person, I still don't know who it was, left a simple Post-it note at the desk for me that just said, don't forget how strong you are. From one strong parent to another, I could see it on you. You're doing a great job. And it's like, those little moments are what I would really love to be able to give to somebody else going through this. And maybe, some of my goofy antics, if I could spread that out into the world. The world needs so much more of that. Mm-hmm. People are so dry. And like, laughing is so important. It's so important to be goofy, and there's no reason to,
If you could leave the world with one more message, what would it be? Just laugh a little more.
Yeah, I think just don't forget, yourself in life. We're so busy trying to make a life that we forget to live. And I think that that's a huge problem. I think we have to constantly remind ourselves what it means to live, and we all fall out of that. I do constantly. I'll constantly kind of lose myself in trying to live, and I remind myself, like, hold on, no, take a step back. What do you want to do? What do you like to do? What brings you peace? And if you have kids, bring them into it. There's no reason you can't be silly with them. Be a kid. Nice.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much for doing this with me. I was like, woo! I loved it. Yes. It's also like seeing like the serious side of you, because me and you, we could go back and forth probably all day and just be goofy. But like seeing this side of you and like the strength come through, it's so amazing. So thank you for sharing your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you for asking and having me on today. And
and once that book comes out, I'm going to be promoted that thing. So let me know when it comes out. And I'll put it on.
Don't forget about yours. I'm ready and willing to read.
All right, you take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.